After coming up short against Zoran Mamdani on primary day,
he won, and we're going to take a look. We'll make some decisions.
Andrew Cuomo quickly pivoting his campaign, launching an independent bid for New York City mayor.
The general election is in November, and I am in it to win it.
The former governor back on the streets of New York City with more votes to earn.
It's a totally different campaign.
A different campaign, but the same opponent to overcome. But Cuomo remains confident.
The opposition to Mamdani is a majority, and it is only going to get worse.
With less than a month left on the campaign trail and now only 3 candidates in the race, New York City will have a new mayor next year, and today I am sitting down with Andrew Cuomo to learn his vision for New York City.
This is a special edition of PIX on Politics with Dan Mannarino. Race for New York City mayor. One-on-one with the candidates.
And welcome to this special edition of PIX on Politics, everybody. I am Dan Mannarino, and here we are, kicking off a 3-week series going one-on-one with each candidate for New York City mayor, getting them on the record on each of the issues top of mind for you, the voter. I mean, we're talking affordability, safety, transit, and a whole lot more. And we begin this series now with Andrew Cuomo, the Democratic former governor, making an independent run now for New York City's top office. Here's our conversation. And Andrew Cuomo, great to have you back on PIX on Politics.
Thanks, good to be back.
I want to get to some of the issues that are really paramount to the campaign, but I want to talk about new polling. This Quinnipiac poll that came out showed that with Eric Adams dropping out of the race, you picked up some of that support. But with that said, Mamdani is still 13 points ahead, right? And the unfavorable rating for you in that same poll was at 52%. So when you look at it all, yes, you picked up some support. Is there a clear path to winning?
Yeah, I think people are just really starting to focus on the race, Dan. You know, you and I, and then sort it out. I feel very good about what I'm hearing on the streets from people. My agenda is their agenda. It's about jobs. It's about the economy. It's about public safety. I want to hire 5,000 additional police, make people feel safe in the city once again, and it's about affordability. I feel good about the agenda, and I feel good that New Yorkers get it. You know, politicians promise. I promise to do this, I promise to do this, I promise to do this. The question really is, who has the qualifications to get the job done? And that's where I stand out, frankly.
Yeah, and I'll talk about some of those issues in a moment. Curtis Lewa, the Republican nominee, has told me repeatedly he's not dropping out of the race. He is in that new poll still in 3rd place right there. But with that being said, if he stays on the ballot, does that prevent you from a clear path to victory? Is he a roadblock? Would you like to see him leave the race?
Well, look, I think people realize that a vote for Curtis is really a vote for Mamdani, right? Curtis cannot win the race. He can be a spoiler. So in essence, a vote for Curtis is a vote for Mamdani. But again, even there, I think it's going to come down to who is qualified and who will actually get things done. And that's where New York City keeps falling down. We hire politicians who make promises but have no experience and qualifications to actually do it. So when I go through why I am better suited for the job, we need affordable housing. I was the HUD secretary, built housing all across the country. We need someone who can actually bring fiscal management. I was the governor, managed the budget for 11 years. That's twice the size of the city budget. Yep. Once they hear the facts and they think about the qualifications, Democrat or Republican, it doesn't matter.
And because you are someone with experience that you're talking about, let me ask you about something that's playing out in real time right now. Your opponent as we are talking, is joining other Democrats in Lower Manhattan because of what happened to the Attorney General, Tish James. And she was just indicted by a prosecutor handpicked by the president on fraud and false statement charges. Now, you came out with a statement yesterday, but you did not mention the president by name. You did not mention Tish James by name. When you look at it, should the president have gone after Tish James?
Well, my point is, and I think this is nearly uniform, both sides, Democrats and Republicans, believe there's too much politics in the justice system. And it's really a shame because the cornerstone of the democracy was the justice system. And now it seems like there's politics on both sides. And there should be politics on neither side. The Justice Department, I'm a former assistant district attorney, former attorney general, it was supposed to be devoid of politics. And now both sides point fingers at each other saying they're playing politics.
This is what your statement said yesterday, but should the president have gone after the attorney general? Was he right to do that?
Well, he will say he didn't go after her. The prosecutor will say they were just doing justice, which is what Tish James said about going after President Trump. I'm just pursuing justice. That's why it's political.
But what do you say?
Neither side should be playing politics.
Yeah, your opponent was out there this morning saying that you won't condemn the president in any sort of way because you have the same donors. And in this conversation, it doesn't sound like you think that he was wrong in this situation of going after the attorney general. What do you say to Mr. Mamdani, who came out this morning and said you won't speak out against the president?
We have the same donors. The president was from New York. I am a lifelong New Yorker, right? There are people who know the president. There are people who know me. There are people who contributed to the president, contributed to me. Same people contributed to Kathy Hochul. Same people contributed to Tish James, Mayor Adams, because they're New Yorkers, right? And in terms of Mr. Trump, there is no elected official in the United States of America who had more confrontations with President Trump, more difficulty with President Trump, more fights with President Trump than I did, and more effective
I hear you,
fights
but
with
if
President
you won't
Trump.
condemn the president here, in this situation, how can a New Yorker believe you'll actually stand up to him?
You condemn him for what?
For the charges against the attorney general. Democrats right now
You're
are saying
assuming,
it was Democrats overall are saying it was the weaponization and politicalization of the system.
That's what the Democrats say, right? And then the prosecutor will say, I went before a grand jury. The grand jury made this decision. If they are right and it was political, then the prosecutor will lose the case. But that's the justice system.
Okay.
And both sides now routinely, whenever anyone gets charged with a crime, it's just politics. And so nobody believes anyone, Dan.
Okay. Let's talk about some of the real issues affecting New Yorkers, one of them being affordability. And you said it's the right topic for all of the candidates to tackle. And I want to begin with housing. You said build, baby, build, 50,000 units, right? But realistically speaking, a New Yorker lacks patience. We know this. So at the end of a first term, will rents effectively be lower? Because it's going to take some time to get those units. When can you see rents come down?
You can get things done much faster than we have been getting things done here in New York. Look, it takes 4 years to get a building permit in New York City. I built LaGuardia Airport in 4 years, all right? Luckily, I didn't need a permit, or I didn't know I needed a permit. So 4 years to build an airport. Just think about that. I built the Second Avenue subway, built the Kosciuszko Bridge, new track for the Long Island Railroad, new Shirley Chisholm Park. You can get things done if you are competent. As I mentioned before, I was the former Housing Urban Development Secretary. I built housing all across the nation. Housing is the easiest thing to build. It's not an airport, it's not a subway tunnel. You just have to get it done.
So how quickly, if you were to win, within your first term, could people see rent relief, rents come down?
Oh, I think, remember what the problem is and why you need the additional housing. We only have a 1% vacancy rate. And that 1% vacancy rate is what is driving up the rents. Increase the supply and the rents will come down. I think you can do 50,000 the first year, 50,000 the second year, and you will feel a difference. Those units come online, people will have more options.
50,000 new apartments in the first year?
Yes, and 50,000 per year. And I think once you increase the availability, you see the prices come down. And we have to stop with this assumption that government is incompetent. It is not incompetent. The people we elect are incompetent, and that's on the voters many times, Dan, because we never ask the question, what are your qualifications? Curtis Sliwa, what are your qualifications to run a $115 billion organization? Have you ever managed anything that big? Have you ever managed 300,000 people? Mr. Mandami, you're a two-term assemblyman. You passed 3 bills. What makes you think you can run a 300,000 person operation, do disaster assistance, deal with some of the most life-threatening situations?
But what you are seeing right now, and this is not true just in this race, but it's true all over the country, people tired of the establishment, and they're looking for fresh voices, fresh energy. So what do you say to that voter who is anti-establishment?
Anti-establishment, I say, do you want to get anything done? Do you actually want results? Then you need someone who can produce results. If you want false promises, God bless you. If you want performance and product, get someone who knows how to get something done and has proven that they've gotten something done.
You're watching PIX on Politics with Dan Mannarino, race for New York City mayor.
And welcome back to this special edition of PIX on Politics, going one-on-one with each of the New York City mayoral candidates for an entire episode. Let's get back now to my interview with Andrew Cuomo, where we now discuss bail reform and more. On public safety, this is a big issue, and I've had conversations with many police officers who are leaving the force because of forced overtime as well as pay. And you want to hire 5,000 more police officers. I've heard you talk about it a number of times. So how do you recruit more officers? Do you give them a raise right away?
The reason we did this to ourselves, there was a political mentality that said defund the police. We dropped the police force to the lowest level in modern history.
Yeah.
And you are exactly right. Now they're being forced to work overtime, they're being forced to work weekends, it's destroying their quality of life. You have the highest attrition rate on the police. You have to raise the starting pay. And I said I want to hire 5,000 additional police, 1,500 for the subways. Incentive bonus to hire, $15,000. And you're going to have to say to the police, I have your back. Because part of it is they feel demoralized. They feel that they get blamed for things that they shouldn't get blamed for. So they want a mayor who stands up and supports them. That's why Mr. Mamdani saying defund the police, disarm the police are racist, the police are wicked, the police are corrupt.
He says he's evolved his positions on those.
But those are his words, right? Once you say the police are racist and they are wicked and they are corrupt and they are anti-queer, that hurts, right? And you want that police force to go to work for that mayor? I don't think so.
Just this week, you said you were in favor of rebuilding Rikers Island, turning the borough-based jails into affordable housing. So that's a bit of a change from what you said in 2019 when you said Rikers had to close. So why the change?
I said Rikers had to close because Rikers has to close. Rikers is the building, not the land. It's the building. Knock down the old buildings, which are decrepit.
So follow the law, which says Rikers has to close. Yes,
Rikers meaning the building. There's nothing wrong with the land that is Rikers Island, right? It's the buildings themselves that are out of date, and there are better designs for jails. What the city did was they said, we're going to close Rikers, open borough jails, so people would have easier visitation, which I understand. But they are now billions over budget. They are years late. By city law, Rikers is supposed to close next year. It can never happen.
So your plan, is this to go around the law which says it has to close?
Well, that law is going to be violated under any circumstance because the law says next year Rikers has to close. The new jails basically didn't even break ground. You just have basic foundation work done on some of them. So you're never going to make the closing date. And the new jails don't even handle the capacity that is currently in Rikers.
One of your former mayoral opponents, Brad Lander, was out this week questioning if you've ever actually been to Rikers Island. So have you?
I've been to Rikers Island.
When?
Not recently, as governor.
Do you think you need to go now to see what the conditions are?
I would like to go now, yes.
Okay. Also, cashless bail reform has been a hot topic. And we did put the call out to questions to a number of our viewers. We got hundreds of people who were asking questions. Let me just go through some of them. Edward Schnepp wrote this on Facebook. Ask him if he thought bail reform would be a good idea. And Robert Taylor, in a similar sentiment, said he wants to hire cops, but how is that going to help when his bail reform policies pretty much ensured criminals get to walk out again and again with no consequences? So do Edward and Robert have a point? Was bail reform the right move?
Let's understand what bail reform is, right? 6 years ago, we passed the bail reform law. Many other states have passed bail reform. Bail reform means the criminal justice system says you are innocent until you are proven guilty. And we shouldn't be locking up people before they had trial just because they can't make the bail payment. Mm-hmm. There was a famous case at the time called the Khalif Browder case.
Yeah.
Young man charged with stealing a backpack, questionable case. He's put in Rikers for 2 years because his family can't pay $900 bail. He's abused. He takes his own life. So bail reform was, if it is a serious crime, then yes, bail. If it's not a serious crime and you believe the person is going to come back for trial, then no bail. I had wanted an additional provision that said, in the judge's discretion, if the judge thinks the person is dangerous, the judge can set bail anyway, in any case.
Okay.
The legislature would not accept that provision.
Right.
So we put down a list of crimes that were quote unquote dangerous crimes and bail eligible.
As mayor, would you push for that?
That law was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
That law has now been changed at least 4 times.
Right.
So the bail reform law that I passed is no longer
right.
the
So
law of the land.
Would you push as mayor for it to go back to what you wanted it to be?
Now the judges and prosecutors say they have discretion. I don't know if it's that they're not exercising their discretion or they're playing politics, or if there needs to be additional law changes. They say they don't need to be additional law changes. Everyone said they were happy, but it's one or the other. If you need to change the law, add the dangerous standard. But in any event, the judges and the prosecutors have to enforce the law, Dan, mm-hmm. and they can't play politics with the justice system.
Welcome back to PIX on Politics, everybody, and I'm once again joined by Mr. Andrew Cuomo.
Pleasure, thank you.
You talked a lot about your accomplishments here, right? You talked about the Second Avenue Subway, LaGuardia Airport, marriage equality. No one's perfect. And again, we got a lot of questions from our viewers, and I spoke to a number of viewers who were saying in this new world that they are living in, they would like honesty from their leaders and accountability, who admit fault and apologize for their actions. It's no secret why you resigned, right? The sexual harassment allegations that were made against you by a number of women, 13 women. I've heard you say that you apologize if you made anybody feel comfortable. Is there a larger apology? Do you regret anything about that time?
Well, let's talk about the facts first, right? I said at the time these were political allegations and it was a political report, mm-hmm. And that I didn't do anything wrong. That's what I said at the time. But there was the frenzy, it was the Me Too movement, there was a lot of politics involved. Okay, that report then went to 5 district attorneys, Democrats and Republicans, rejected by all 5. We then had 4 years of litigation. The cases were dropped, Dan. So nothing came of it.
Right, but the theory from people who are looking at this are saying, well, women may have felt uncomfortable. Are they owed an apology?
Well, first of all, there's a difference between uncomfortable and allegations, right, of wrongdoing. So there was no wrongdoing. I did say, if I did anything that made anyone uncomfortable, if I made a joke that made you feel uncomfortable, if I made a comment that made you feel uncomfortable, If I made anyone feel uncomfortable for any reason, I apologize. If I've done anything on this show that makes you feel uncomfortable, I apologize. But that is different than saying someone broke a legal standard.
You said that you weren't going to run for office again, and here we are. Now, I know you said that New York City was in an existential crisis. If you don't win this, you've put it out there that you might run for another office. What would that be if you didn't win this race?
No, I said, first of all, I believe I'm going to win this race, and I don't contemplate an alternative, which is just a good philosophy to deal with. And I'm going to stay there. I believe I win this race. I believe I'm in the best position to actually help New York City now. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, Independent. If you want someone who can get something done, who will hire the cops, clean up the subways, clean up the streets, get businesses back, I can get that job done. People know me, they know my experience, they know that I actually can make things happen, and that's what New York City needs now more than ever.
All right.
So I feel good about this race.
Mr. Andrew Cuomo, appreciate you being here back on PIX on Politics.
Pleasure.
All right, so a busy few weeks ahead, right, as we head into an intense home stretch of the election season. Here's what's coming down the line. Take a look right here. You can see my conversations with the other candidates. Next week, I'm going one-on-one with Republican Curtis Sliwa. The following week, sitting down with the Democratic nominee, Zohran Mamdani. And get your voting plan ready. New Yorkers have until October 25th to register to vote. That's also, by the way, the first day of early voting. And listen up for you folks over in New Jersey. You need to register to vote by the key date of October 14th. That's this coming Tuesday. Early voting in the Garden State begins on the 25th. And of course, the PIX 11 political team will bring you daily coverage leading up to Election Day and extended coverage that evening. We're going to thank you right now for watching another special episode of PIX on Politics. I'm Dan Mannarino. Enjoy the rest of your day.